Hey, book club besties.
From Scrubs to Book Club, we're two burnt-out healthcare workers who love to yap about books. I'm Katie.
And I'm Star, and welcome to English Detention Podcast.
Today we were talking about the fourth book in the Throne of Glass series, Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. So this, I would have to say, from what I've seen on the internet, is tend to be people's favorite book out of the entire series.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say Queen of Shadows is like their top rank.
I think Queen of Shadows, from what I've been listening to, especially at work, in like just walking around and people rereading it, is that it brings the story together.
Yes.
Like you understood why you read the first three books.
Yes.
Out of order.
Yeah. And and my thing too is that I feel like Heir of Fire, I personally love Heir of Fire, but when we went back to talk about it in the podcast, I was like, this is really hard to digest because there's so many POVs going on at the same time. It's kind of like almost the intro before Kingdom of Ash, I'd say, because Kingdom of Ash is when it really gets like...
Yeah, but you also
Again.
get introduced to like more people. Like
Yes.
all of a sudden Manon gets introduced and the witches are like now a thing. It's not just yellow Babo leg.
Baba Yellow Legs.
Good God. So names are not my thing, just so we know. Yeah, so I don't know. So it's definitely like I think this is where everybody like starts to see the story like finding its way.
Yeah, I agree.
When it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Okay, we're going here and this is what's happening. But there's just so much shit that happens in this book that like every time like on the reread on this one, I forget that it's so much thinner than I think it should be for how much shit you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I reread it, I was like, wow, that happened. Like, holy shit. Like that was that big of a book and it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm scared to reread the other ones now.
I'm excited to go into Empire of Storms because that's my favorite of the series.
I honestly don't remember anything. The reread's gonna like be like, Katie, I forgot about that. Katie, I forgot about that.
But also, I liked Queen of Shadows way more when I reread it. I loved Queen of Shadows when I first read it. I gave every book in this except for Assassin's Blade on the first read 5 stars. So
I loved Assassin's Blade. It's like my favorite book. I was about to like box somebody upstairs on like the floor. I was about to be like, Queen. I was like, Assassin's Blade's the best. Wrong. They were just like, no, sit down.
I love Assassin's.
Nobody likes that story but you.
I love Assassin's Blade more on a reread because I can see everything that it seeded it, right? It was such an important foreshadowing book and to like plant the seeds of everything that will happen later, especially once you get to, I mean, by the end of Empire of Storms, you're like, oh shit, here's everybody again.
And everybody reads it out of order too. Like I've heard people read it first and that like made them not want to read the story.
Yes.
I've heard people read it after Heir of Fire, before this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was strange, but then I was like, I guess it kind of pieces it together.
I've heard other people read it after Kingdom of Ash. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know, because I feel like the backstory of that like fills in all of the gaps.
Yeah,
especially with Aragon and like getting to see like all of his like, I don't know, because like he's a fucking piece of shit, and it makes you explains, especially in this one, it explains why she did what she did to him and all of her like what feels petty. You're like, oh my God, it's not petty. He deserved it.
Yeah, I think honestly why I love Queen of Shadows is because it is go, go, go from the beginning. Like when we get through, like, I mean, it's, again, I should say this is spoiler warning for anything in Throne of Glass, as well as possibly ACOTAR and Crescent City, just because I won't take it off the table. I don't think I personally have any specific references at this time. However, I have been known to say that at the beginning of a podcast and go off on a tangent about something. So we are in the year of SJM. We are covering all of Throne of Glass, Crescent City, and ACOTAR in 2026. So if you want to stick with us for the coverage, if you haven't finished Throne of Glass and you don't want spoilers, then maybe this isn't the podcast for you. So Queen of Shadows, I was so surprised when I reread it because we'll talk about it in a second, but when Erebin gets killed, I'm like, we're not very far into this book.
Called him Aragon. I just realized. I was like, I knew who I was talking about too, and I was confident. I love how I was just like, yeah. I was like, after I said it, I was like, isn't that a dragon? And then I was like, just run with it.
I think I just bowled over it. I was like, she means Erebin. Whatever.
I did. I don't know why I'm terrible with names.
But we find Aelin is back as Selena, quote unquote. She has dyed her hair red and she is back in Rifthold. So we ended Heir of Fire with her getting on the boat back to Rifthold and leaving Rowan back at Mistward, or back in the continent over there. And so, or Wendlin. I guess he's in Wendlin. He's not in Mistward at this point, and he's not in Dorno. So there's so many places in this freaking book. Yeah. So, yes. She told Rowan, I'm not ready for you. If you come back, you're either going to be stuck in your hawk form or you're going to be a full-blooded fae walking around, and that's even worse for keeping a low profile. So she's like, that's not going to work. You need to stick around. Like, I need to go figure out how I'm going to bring magic back. And this is the point. She is fully accepted. She is Aelin Galathinius. She is coming back for Terrasen.
Yes.
So we meet her. She's in the vaults, who, if we remember from in Assassin's Blade, she had gotten the vaults like exploded, right? Because of everything that happened with her and Sam. Sam was fighting in the vaults originally. And then it kind of blew up and then it got new ownership. So now it's under new ownership. Arobynn has started to take interest in buying the vaults at this point.
Well, yeah, because like that's where you make tons of money. You probably can launder money down there too.
Yes. He also
just like
he owns the fighting pits too. So
well, that's what I was thinking. Like,
but the deal was, though, at the end of Assassin's Blade, we saw that he was working with not Iowyn Jane, but Rourke Farron, who was the below of who was the number 2 to Iowyn Jane, and Rourke Farron had taken over the vaults and all of kind of what that organization had. And so Arabynn's now working closely. We know that Arobynn was the reason that she was going to Endovir at this point, right? So. Yes. And he had, quote unquote, come up with a plan to save her, but he really wasn't trying that hard to get her out.
No.
So we're in the vaults, and she's hanging out, and she's like, okay, I spy this assassin, and I'm just waiting to see who Arabynn's going to talk to. And in walks Chaol Westfall.
I know, which I was like so disappointed. Like, everybody hates him, which is so funny. I've never met a soul that dislikes Chaol, which is kind of funny, to be honest with you. Like, what the hell? Like, he's not that bad. Like, I feel bad for that poor general. Like, he's like, I'm just trying to live my life and be what I think is responsible, and everybody hates me. Like, goddamn, the America just thinks I'm a piece of shit.
I think, listen, I do give more grace to Chaol on a reread, because I think everything was ripped out. Like, I think if we think about spoilers for Fourth Wing, because I can't. What the fuck am I doing? If we think about where, if you like, a comparison would be Violet when she enters Iron Flame, where everything's been ripped out from underneath her and she doesn't know where she stands anymore. That's kind of what happens to Chaol, right? So Chaol has a very strict set of morals. He lives by the rules. Everything is for being in servitude to Dorian, not to the king, but specifically to Dorian, and making sure he follows all the rules. He gave up specific things about his life in order to serve this specific regime. So when you get Celaena, who's thrown him off course already, right? Celaena was never supposed to be this person that he fell in love with or anything. And then Celaena really kind of changed him in certain ways. He found out she was Fae, and he was like, what the fuck is going on? Why would you not disclose this to me? Dorian has magic, and there's the Volg and everything else that he's learning about. So yes, while I am a Chaol hater, I do give him more grace in this because I get it. However, all of the interactions he has with Celaena, or with Aelin at this point, is just blaming her for not telling him things, or for being secretive, or for doing whatever. And she's like, what the fuck was I supposed to do? Like, I was living in an enemy's kingdom.
Everybody, though.
She does. This is her personality, because she keeps secrets and does things herself in order to spare other people, because she keeps losing people. If she involves them in their plans, if she involves them in her life, she feels like she is the cause of that death.
Yeah, but I have to be honest with you. Like, as a partner, that's like, are you shitting me? Like, we need to be a team. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a hard, like...
But Chaol, when they were together, was also keeping secrets and was also going behind her back and was not telling her when the king was investigating Nehemia and all this kind of stuff. So their relationship was never, they were doomed from the start, right?
They were, no, they should never even have been playing with each other.
No, and and she never said that she loved him when she left. She just said, I'll come back.
Yeah, she did say, she was like... I'm here, aren't I? Like, I thought that was like, she just, the way she said it when she saw him, she was just like, I didn't say like I was coming back for you. I just said I'd come back.
She did tell Dorian she would come back for him, though. And that is an important through line that we will see in this book specifically, because during this whole book, we have to watch Dorian deal with his Volg possession, because he does have a Wordstone collar on that got put on at the end of Heir of Fire. Chaol will go through his journey in Tower of Dawn, and that was after Tower of Dawn when he meets Irene, and Irene puts him in his place, and he has to kind of figure out that the rules have changed and the world is evolving and he has to evolve too, that he will learn he grows into a person that I appreciate.
Yeah, but we also have to remember too, though, by the time like we get to that book, isn't he only like 25?
Yeah, they're all super young. Okay,
like I can't imagine how annoying I was like before I hit 25. Like I think about it, like even looking back, I'm like, God, was I that annoying? Like I think I was.
Yeah,
because like now, like I'm older, I'm like, no, I was. I mean, I know I was, but I like to imagine I wasn't.
I think when he gets into his Tower of Dawn battle, though, I think he really realizes how much pressure is on Aylin's shoulders during that time. Like, I think he really kind of accepts that, yes, maybe she couldn't have been that person for him because she has so much else she has to serve.
Yeah.
And that's not the life he was meant to live, right? He was meant to, he has absolute loyalty to Dorian, and that's what he knows. And so when everything changes, and even Dorian shifts out of that, right? Like Dorian's like, everything's changing, dude. Like you can't, I mean, we saw that with you can't pick and choose with Peach is a Part of Love. You can't pick which parts of this rebellion or the changes in the world you're going to align with. You have to go in on it. So that's kind of the issues that they had. Chaol is meeting with Arobynn to work with some rebel group stuff, and Aylin's watching like, what the fuck are you doing? You know Arabynn's a terrible person.
Especially because it's Arobynn. If it wasn't him, I probably would be like, okay.
Yeah.
But like even when it like the opening scene, you're just like, what the fuck is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Arabynn's like, I know you're here. And she's just like, yeah, and I know all of your assassins are here. And she's like, yeah, they're not being very discreet, are they? So this is where we're going to get Arobynn being in the fray of everything. We left off Heir of Fire with Adian's capture. So Adian got taken down to the dungeons, and Adian, we find out, got a slice to his side, or like his ribs. Yes. And he has been making sure nobody heals. He's like, if I'm gonna die, he's like, I don't want to get, murdered in public. I don't want to get a wordstone collar on me. I would rather just die from an infection and be done. So he's sitting there like just trying to die.
Adian's also a hater on him too.
Listen, Adian, my hatred of Adian starts a little bit. We get the seeds of it in Queen of Shadows. But my real true hatred of him comes in Empire of Storms. Okay. And then he's an absolute ass in Kingdom of Ash. And like I've said before, he didn't deserve anything he got by the end of Kingdom of Ash. That's my opinion. What is it? That's my opinion. That's where I'm at on that. Selena, or now I can't stop calling her Selena after I've been calling her freaking Aylin the whole time. She says she came back to Rifthold as Selena for one last time. However, Arobynn knows she's Aylin, and he even says like, "Oh, I should just call you by your name, or should I call you Fire Breathing Bitch Queen?" Which is the new thing she's being known
I want a
as.
shirt that says that.
I almost made them for this podcast.
God, I would have worn it everywhere. Would have been like,
if things weren't so busy, I
know.
was like, I really wanted to make this shirt. But yeah, at the end of Heir of Fire, when she fought General Narok, that's when she earned her Fire Breathing Bitch Queen name back then. So she is talking to Arobynn, and Arabynn's like, all right, let's make a deal. Like, I will help you get Adian out, but you have to bring me a Vogue commander. She's like, okay. And she's like, but we're getting Adian out first. I'm not giving you a present before you help me out. So they strike up that deal. Chaol and her spend a bunch of time fighting. She's like, what are you doing talking to Arobynn? And he's like, well, you left and I have to do all this stuff with the rebels. And he's like, beep, beep, beep. I'm Chaol and I'm complaining about everything.
She's the hatred for this poor guy. He's like, I'm 12 and you're being mean to me.
He's older than all of them, though.
I'm not by much, though.
Like
and he's been kind of a little sheltered. Okay? Like, you gotta think of a little bit of sheltering here.
I know. This is also when we get to meet Nezrin, who is Nezrin Philique, who we find out Chaol and her have kind of a little past where they used to just be a little friends with benefits type situation, but they aren't together now. And Aylin's just kind of like, I can see it, whatever. She's already moved on. She's like, I have way past this. If I'm going to fight with Chaol, I'm going to fight with Chaol, but like I'm not here to try to reconnect here at all. They set off on this plan. She also gets to see that Marta is still alive in Ren Allsbrook, and so that's a huge thing for her because they're all children of Terrasen, right? Except Marta's obviously older. Yeah. But they're all people from Terrasen. And she gets to see her court is starting to form around her. And they had started forming around her over the rumors that she was alive.
I mean, everybody wanted her to be alive, so.
Yeah. I have to say, they spend a ton of time with Chaol and Nezrin and her just like stalking the Vogue around and like figuring out where their nests are and all this kind of stuff. She does follow them, and at one point, one of them like leans down and like is bowing to something, and that's when we see our first word hound that like appears out. I couldn't remember what the word hounds looked like. They're like stone. They're like gargoyles almost. And she's like, I'm going to call that a word hound. I like how she just names it. She's like, that's what that is. Decided. And then for the rest of the books, it's like, everyone's like, there's a word hound over there. Like, Aelin's just like, I've named this, and that's what it's called. They spend a ton of time like stalking them around and stuff. And Chaol being like, get the fuck away from me. Go away. And there's multiple times where he and Nesrin are doing like surveillance over something. And Aelin's like, hey guys, how's it going? They're like, get away from us. She shows up in the shadow market, and she's just like, they're like, could you be less conspicuous when you show up? And she's just like, whatever. Like, she's swaggering around being her Selena self, right? Being
herself.
They go and set up the whole capture or to get Adian out, right? So she is pretending to be a dancer for the teacher that used to teach her how to dance when she was younger.
I thought this was great because she's like, I don't really like my performance isn't good. Like I don't even look as good as she does.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, you must be doing something right because nobody thought like, oh, that doesn't look good. So I was just thinking like the way that they described it, my brain's like, okay, I can't dance. Like I would have fumbled all over the stage. You know, she was graceful as shit. She's just being like every girl ever.
Oh, I
forgot. Did you see how terrible I looked?
So in the meantime, what they're doing all this planning to get Adian out, and they're doing the back and forth communication with Arobynn. He sends Lysandra at one point as like serving her up on a silver platter, assuming that as you know, Selena, they hated each other
afterwards.
So much.
That's why I didn't say anything.
This is before.
Gotcha.
They hated each other so much.
Yeah, that they were she was gonna kill her.
She would kill her, and so then she shows up with Evangeline, and Selena and Aelin's like, am I just not supposed to kill you because you brought Evangeline? Like, you're obviously a spy. And then that's when Lysandra is like, I wish we could have been friends because, like, that's when she explains everything that happened with Wesley, that she was actually Wesley's lover. And Wesley had always had a sweet spot for Sam, right? He'd always kind of taken care of him. And he went after Rourke Farron after everything happened.
Yeah.
And killed him. And so that pissed off Arobynn because that was their new partnership, and Arobynn ended up killing Wesley. And it broke Lysandra because Wesley was a person that she could rely on, that was a safe place for her when men had only been using her for her entire life, right? Yeah. So for her, losing that was so incredibly hurtful. And then Wesley wrote a letter that explained everything Arobynn had done, and she's like, you don't have to read it if you don't want to, but I wanted you to have this so you could see everything that happened to Sam.
I know, it's crazy.
And why he decided to go after everything. That's when we get the turn on Lysandra. I love Lysandra. I was so excited to see her come back into the fray because in Assassin's Blade we get the like little sprinkle of who she is, and that Selena hates her, and that's really it. But we get to see the true Lysandra here.
But I mean, you like think about it though. If you in Assassin's Blade, she hates her because they were meant to be like it was forced upon them to hate each other.
Yeah,
like it wasn't like they didn't have a choice. They didn't know any different in the situation. It was just what it was.
Well, and part of it too was just that you know Aelin was 16, 17 at the time, and she was jealous of the fact that she had a relationship with Sam. Even when she didn't fully understand that she was having feelings for Sam, she's like, "Oh, obviously he would never pick me. He would pick someone like her."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So part of that too, other than the fact that Arobynn kept shoving them at each other, she did throw that dagger at her and stuff, and like the mark is still on the wall in the Assassin's
Which
Cape.
I thought was like a really like. I mean, the fact that she writes so well, like I saw a post about like how everybody always like hates her writing, but everybody reads her damn books. Like, have you noticed? Like everybody knows the Maasverse. It's like, get the hell over yourself.
Yeah.
But then the detail of that, I left it for her to walk by every time, and I was just like, that's cold. Like nobody likes your writing, but everybody reads your shit. Like
it's like it was a marker of like she will come back for you eventually.
Yeah, it's crazy,
right? And Arobynn, after he bought her bidding, has just kept Lysandra in his employ, and so it's just like Lysandra's had to serve Arobynn this entire time. They kind of bond over it, and they're like, and Lysandra's like, I wish we could have been friends all this time because like genuinely, and Aelin's like, I haven't had real female friendship since Nehemia, and like she's always loves when she gets to have like real female friendship. I think she ends up really getting along with men mainly because of the fact that she can be so harsh, and she has all that training and all that kind of stuff. So she can form those friendships with those guys because that's who she's around all the time, right? But I think she's like, I still like being a girl and getting to have like my female friendships. And so Lysandra coming back in is going to be like her real, true female friendship that's going to last her through Kingdom of Ash. And then she will eventually have Manon, and then Elide will come back in as well. They go to rescue Adian. He's set up for, it's like for the prince's birthday. They're going to like kill him. It's like a public execution there. He's like on display, right?
Dorian's little brother's a fucking creep, man.
Well, I think it's for Dorian's birthday, because for the prince's, the younger prince's birthday, Holden or whatever, his birthday was the carnival that they threw with Baba Yellowlegs.
I didn't know it was Dorian's. I thought it was the little brother.
I think it's Dorian's, and I think it's partly that because of like all knowing that he had those friendships and stuff, that it like adds another layer of betrayal.
Missed that. I just assumed it was the baby brother, just because he's such a little fucking creep.
Yeah, and we've seen, because Dorian's got the Wordstone collar, he has a Vogue prince inside of him.
Yes, and
so we're seeing Dorian just keep, every time it's a Dorian chapter, he's just like, there's a dark figure in the corner. It's telling me to look away. It's like he, at one point it was like the thing took over his eyes and he was unseeing and stuff. And so like we're slowly seeing the Vogue prince like trying to take over while Dorian's fighting it as best he can. So she ends up covering as a dancer going in. They have these glass roses that they're coming in with. She also has to paint word marks. She's like, oh my God, what if they make word marks everywhere to ward against me and Adian? Like they can just go and use the Ash River line as like the thing they're gonna block out, right?
Yeah.
So she sees word marks when they're about to enter, and she like starts crying and knocks over a bucket and stuff and like marks out all of the word marks she sees at that point. I think she had written on herself in Kael's blood or something as well, because then she wouldn't smell like a demi-fae to the Vogue, and she needed to cover it up. Once they get inside, she ends up slipping away from the dancers, and Dorian's watching the whole thing. Like, there's this one that just looks like they're not part of it. And then now there's this dude who's swaggering around and talking. And Lysandra had taught her how to throw her voice and, like, speak like a man and all this kind of stuff. And was, we find out later that she was impersonating one of Arabin's really close buddies or, like, close associates so that she could frame them as being, like, the person who did this.
Yeah.
And align Arabin with it rather than herself, which Arabin's going to be pissed about later. And Dorian's watching the whole thing while it's like that weird, like, something's going on. But also,
I know, it's like weird.
Vogue. It's like the Vogue possession over top, and then he's like, do I recognize this person? No, I don't. There's red hair. What's going on? When the dancers, they break the glass flowers, it has like black powder in it, and it like makes this mist everywhere. And then that's when they rescue Adian. And she ends up getting the Sword of Orinth and everything still. And then they escape him. She uses word marks to get his chains off and everything. And they run into the forest because she remembers the forest trail path that she and Kael used to take when they would run.
Yeah.
Dorian follows them out. And the one thing that Aelin and Kael kept arguing about on top of many things was whether or not Dorian needed to die.
Glad that he didn't, but I mean...
Yeah. Dorian...
The prince definitely was taken over. Like, there was no, like...
Yeah, so Aelin's like, once he is
possessed,
doesn't
she see some, like, glimmer or something? Because she said she didn't do it for a reason.
Yeah, so what happens the first time is she goes to kill him, and she has her sword raised above his head. And because she had, like, she didn't use word marks to stop him at that point, but she had a sword above his head. She was trying to get Adian out, and she's like, I gave him a minute or 30 seconds or whatever. She's like, I gave him time. I gave him time to try to get him out. And she was like, Dorian, it's me, blah, blah, blah. Like, tried to, come back for Kael, come back for whatever. Sorsha was the one you loved. And he's like, saying all these things, and he's not coming back. And she's like, he's gone. And so, again, Kael was like, you will not kill Dorian. That was part of their deal.
I know, that's just why I couldn't stand there.
And so she raises her sword up above his head, and Nezrin shoots an arrow at her and barely misses her, but it's to convince her not to do it. And so then they end up running off, and Dorian is still alive. And that is, again, going to be more signs of contention. And she's like, you weren't there. You do not know. Dorian is gone. It's going to be a through line throughout this whole book. We cut back to the witches who are in Morath now. So they moved out of the Farron Gap once once Parrington decided they were ready. Manon has been crowned as the wing leader, and now she's being sent on all these missions, and she's like, this is so ridiculous. Like, everything you're making me do is stupid. She has been making sure the 13 are hunting on their own. Their wyverns are eating their own stuff. that they hunt
because they still smell bad.
Yeah,
and they have like
bad.
a weird taste to them, and even the food have they not kind of realized that the food kind of like not like poisons them, but does like kind of like manipulates them, I guess would be like.
Well, there's just like something wrong about it. We haven't really seen the effects of what the food does, but Manon's like, something's wrong and I don't want anybody involved in this in my 13. And so that was specific for that. She keeps getting sent on all these random missions. Oh, and that's when we meet Vernon Locken. And Vernon is the uncle of Elide Locken.
Yeah.
And she's in a meeting where she's like, everything's stupid, whatever. So she leaves. We got Asterin and Sorrel, who are the second and third, that are kind of following her. And Manon goes back to her chambers, and there's this girl there who has a chain around her leg.
Just some random girl that's just
it's
chained
this
up.
Random, tiny little thing. And Elide, I think it even mentions that Elide like binds her breasts so that she looks younger than she is and stuff too. Like she's trying to appear as innocent as possible. And she was taught by her nursemaid.
Isn't she only like 4 something or
she's
like
teeny tiny? Yeah, she's like 5 feet tall or something like that. She's really small. But she's intentionally trying to make herself look younger and more naive than she is. She was basically taught by her nursemaid when she was trapped in a tower basically for most of her life after Terrasen fell. And her nursemaid was like, okay, you're not very big. We don't have weapons. Like there's nothing you can train in, but your mind is useful. So like the more you can observe, the more things you can manipulate and use, that's going to be your weapon.
Listen.
Mm-hmm. So that's what Elide does. Elide spends a lot of time watching things and learning things. And she sneaks into the wing leaders, which is Manon's quarters, to look at maps because she's trying to escape.
Yeah.
And she's been like cozying up to the cook as well by like washing dishes and helping prepare vegetables and stuff to learn when the cargo's coming in.
Yeah, the truck.
Yeah, whenever the vegetables and everything are being delivered, she's trying to learn all that so she can hightail it out of there and hop on the cart. And so she's looking at the maps trying to figure out what route she's going to take to get away from everything. And that's when Manon walks in and is like, why are you in my room, you spy? And Manon kind of ends up adopting Elide throughout this book. Like, Manon swipes her with her iron nail and then tastes her blood. And Manon's like, Manon basically says like that she has to prevent herself from reacting because she tastes faint witch blood in her. So she's a witch somewhere in her line.
Yeah. I think it was on her mother's side. Her
mother's side is Iron Teeth witch somewhere. Yeah. That's when she's kind of like, all right,
this one screwed me up though, because for like a hot minute, I really thought she was a witch because her uncle like refers to her as like a little witchling, and I was like, she's a fucking witch? No, she's not a witch. She's a witch. Like it took me a minute to get it. I was like, they're just like in, there's like somewhere along the way, but it like screwed me up. I was like,
so that's when she tastes the blood. That's when she's like, okay, I have to kind of take care of this little human now because, and so she finds out more about Vernon and kind of the horrible things he's done. She asks like why she's in a chain and like everything, and she's like, oh, it's just my leg's bad. Elide's leg is going to be a thing that impacts her character for much of this series. So Manon is like, I've adopted this tiny human, now she's mine, and she ends up moving Elide into her quarters. I'm skipping over a lot of stuff because there's so much in this book.
I know. I was thinking points. Like you're doing better than I would have been. Like, and then this happened and this happened. That's why I'm just like, you just follow the lead.
So again, that we also get to see Manon in these meetings with Lorcan. Oh, not with Lorcan, with Lord Locken and Vernon. Oh my God, Vernon Locken and Duke Parrington. And again, she's being sent on all these random missions, but Caltaine's there. And Caltaine Rompier is basically just a shell. She's not reacting to anything. She's just staring off into the distance. She has this big wound or like scar on her arm now. And she has this dress that's just like smoke. Right. And so she's just sitting there, and we learn that she has shadow fire is her magic.
Yeah.
What had happened with Caltaine over time, we learned throughout this book, was that she was hand selected by Duke Parrington, who's Erewhon.
Yeah, because
of the shadow fire that she has. So obviously, with the king getting rid of magic, she couldn't use her shadow fire. However, I think she actually had real flames initially. She had like true flames, and then when it bound to the word key, she got put in her arm, she was able to, it manifested into the shadow fire that was basically like burning people without there actually being real flames, right?
I know, but
it's so crazy.
The way she writes it, man, everything in me is like, I just
poor Kaltane.
I just can't.
But Manon is watching Kaltane and she's like, something's wrong with her. I don't know what it is, but something, she just feels wrong. Like a lot of the men there and a lot of things there are at Morath, everything just feels wrong. And so that's kind of what's going on with them. She's being sent on more missions and stuff. And eventually Duke Parrington says, I want a witch coven. Choose a Blackbeak coven because you remember the witches are part Vogue and part Fae, right?
Yes.
Because the Fae were the only beings that were powerful enough to withstand breeding with the Vogue when they originally came. So that's what bred the witches. And he's like, I want a Blackbeak coven because we're going to do some experiments to see if you can do it. They're like, you're breeding us? And they're like, don't worry. It's just a small incision in the abdomen in order to place it, and then it'll be fine. And so she's like, I don't like this, but okay. And so she does start writing to her grandmother, like, do you know that they're doing this?
I know this would piss me off about the grandma, though. She was just like, just shut up and do what you're told.
Yeah. The grandma's like, we're going to get the waste back.
I don't know why. I'd have been like, bitch, get over here and you give up your body.
Yeah, seriously. And Asterin is like, what the fuck, Manon? We cannot do that. And then that's what ends up getting her demoted to third. And Soren moved up.
I mean, I get it, because like the whole idea, it's like any military kind of setting. Yeah. You need to have you need to listen. But the problem is, Astron's not wrong. Okay, no. Like even I'm like, yeah, I'd take third over this any fucking day.
No, and her grandmother actually had warned Manon, we learned in Heir of Fire, not to put Asterin as her second because she was too fiery. And she's like, you two will not be good. Like, it's just going to cause problems. All she's going to do is fight you, and that's not what a second should do. And Manon's like, I think I want my second to talk to me about stuff.
Question me.
I want the questioning. I want that. However, in this moment, Manon is already battling herself, battling the fact that her grandmother's not responding to her, and she's like, I don't want to give a Blackbeak coven to this. News ends up spreading in a Yellowlegs coven that had just arrived, said they wanted to volunteer for it, and she does end up choosing that coven. And that's going to sit heavy on Manon, that she let this happen to witches.
Shit sits heavy on me. When I was reading that, I was just like, oh my God.
It's horrifying. And so when Asterin is pushing at her and saying, what the fuck is wrong with you, Manon? That's when she snaps and is like, okay, you're done. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I can't have you second guessing me and all this kind of stuff. And then Sorrel's like, okay, I'm number 2 now. You need to shut up, Asterin. And so that's kind of what's all going on over in Morath.
Yeah.
Adian's been... they got Adian out. Adian's recovering and everything. And then they're all...
Adian's being his little bitch self is what Katie wants to say.
Being his little bitch self. No, Adian's recovering at this point. I don't hate Adian yet. I honestly don't hate Adian in this book either. It's just, like I said, setting the scenes for what we're going to see is Adian's kind of
I don't know why you don't hate him yet. This is when I didn't like him. Oh. He's like a little bitch while he's recovering. He's like, oh, Rowan showed up.
Yeah, so... yeah, I was just about to get there. So we get the iconic while they're walking through. It's her and Adian. It's Aelin, Adian, Nezrin, and Chaol are walking through the streets. Or I think Chaol might not be with them at this point. I think it's just Nezrin and Adian with her. And that's when we get the TikTok audio that everybody likes to use, which is Nezrin saying, who is that? And this Adian smiled, Rowan. And she's running at Rowan. And she's so excited to see him. But before this, though, I think she was in the fighting pits. I think it's before Rowan gets there that she does the fighting pit stuff, right? I can't remember.
Me either.
But when she's in the fighting pits, she has to give a name. And Adian's like, I don't want her doing this. This might have been right after the fighting pit fight.
Because he's been watching her the whole time. So
yeah,
I was trying to think. I didn't realize, like...
I can't remember the exact timeline of it. But Aelin had dyed her hair red.
Yeah.
She's in the fighting pits, and Arobynn is talking up the people of the pits, because Arobynn, now that the vaults are all screwed up, because what had happened was when she met with, when she was following Arobynn's meeting and Chaol showed up, she had gone down to the docks, and we learned in Heir of Fire that there's these new guards that have the Wyvern insignia on them, which are obviously Volg commanders and stuff that are walking around. It's their new Volg army.
Yeah.
She'd gone down to the docks to piss off a bunch of them and then lead them down to the vaults. So she had timed it perfectly that by the time she was ready to leave the vaults, they were coming in and they blew up the vaults. So then the vaults were what Arobynn was trying to purchase. And he's like, fuck you, Aelin. So then the pits are something that I think he either owns or is trying to own at this point. And he has her fighting he has her go into fight, and he's like, I need you to capture one of the Vol Commanders. That was the deal. I said, if I helped you get Alien out, which I did, then you would give me one of them.
Yes.
And so she's like looking at the soldiers that are all there, and she of course picks the most ruthless one, and KL and Adian are just like, why do you do this? Like, you stress us out.
I don't know why they don't just trust that she knows what she's doing.
I know. And they're like, you could die in there. And she's like, it's fine. She's wearing the black suit that Arabin gave her, which has the knives in them that nobody ever knows are there. She's like, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And Kale and Adian are both freaking out while she's fighting initially. And then they realize she's messing with the guy. Like, she's totally just like playing with her food at this point. But a big point I want to make is that before she enters the pits, they ask her name, and she says Ansel of Briarcliff.
I know. I was just waiting. I was like, does this come out? Like, are we talking about this?
Yes. So she says Ansel
Why do you
of
think her hair
Briarcliff.
was red?
Mm-hmm. She did it red, not only to cover herself, but because she has one specific person she wants to call out and get to come to her.
Yes.
So
everything she does has a reason. Come on.
Yeah. Everything has been seeded for so many books. It's like insane. I wish I had SJM's like forethought to be able to do some of this. But she does get into that fight. She wins. And she ends up killing the Vol Commander. And then he's like, I wanted one alive. And she's like, whatever. And then leaves. And then they leave. And that's when, I think that after that fight is when she sees Rowan. And Rowan comes in and she's like, what are you doing here? And they're very obviously so... I was in the shower when I was listening to this part. And I was literally dancing up and down. And my husband walked in and was like, what are you doing? He like came in the bathroom to do something. He came in right during that time, and I'm like fist pumping the air. I was like, Rowan's back with his short hair.
Oh God, I forgot about that. That's like Katie's like literally like iconic moment.
Rowan, listen, I love Rowan in Air of Fire, but Rowan with his short hair hits different. That is the best kind of Rowan. I would love that kind of Rowan. Rowan with the short hair shows up. He's in his full Fae form, obviously, because magic is gone. And Aylin's just like in his arms, so happy. And Nezran's like, I'm gonna walk away. This is their moment. And eventually, like, they take Rowan back, and Adian's just kind of sitting there like, okay. And she's like, we'll be back. And then she just throws Rowan into her room and closes the door. And Adian's just on the other side like, cool.
I mean...
And then she ends up having Rowan take a bath. And this is kind of a really important scene.
This is Katie's like...
She's already rolling her eyes at me.
Because I was just sitting here thinking, like, I don't know how many times you told me this scene. I'm just like...
She sets up the bath and gets Rowan in there and everything and is helping wash him. And he goes to scrub his hair. And she's like, no, you don't use that soap for your hair. You use a hair oil. But what had happened was when he needed soap, and she handed him the bar of lavender soap. And we know from Assassin's Blade that is a pretty significant thing for her to do, because that was one of her regrets, was that when she saw Sam's body, he smelled of cheap soap, because she always refused for him to use her soap. That was her expensive soap. And she's like, I wasted that time of giving him a luxury in his life and something that was a part of me that was important to me. So she's not going to do make the same mistake with Rowan. So Rowan gets all cleaned up, and she's like, okay, well, I'll get you clothes tomorrow, but you can't put on he's like, went to put on his old clothes, and she's like, no, those stink. Like, I'm sending those to the laundress, and we'll figure it out from there. And so then she gives him some of Sam's clothes, and he's like, you don't have to do that, like, it's okay.
Yeah, but doesn't it like not fit? Because he's a fucking
fit.
Fae man. Like, you're trying to, he's like open, the shirt's like open, his chest is just rippling.
He's like, he walks out with no shirt on, I think, and he has the men's undershorts on. I think that's
something
about
like
it.
That.
And he's like, the shirt didn't fit. And she's looking at him like, God damn, you're hot. Also, okay, I guess I'll figure something out tomorrow. I think he says he's going to sleep
sir,
on...
Where's Adian's clothes?
That's a good question.
I've like thought about this, and I meant to ask you. I was like, he's like got like, he should...
Adian's a big dude, but I also think maybe that two of them, Adian and Rowan, are also gonna have like a weird Fae male thing going on, and I don't think that would have helped.
Would have been an interesting like,
clothes.
hey cuz, can he wear your clothes
again? Because Adian thinks he's owed a lot of things.
So many words to that.
I don't know if it's necessarily that he thinks he's owed things. It's just that he's been raised to do one thing, and then he's no longer given that thing. So
This is why she hates kale. This is funny. Think about it. Both of those poor men were literally brought up a certain way. Their little brains didn't know any different. They were molded. And then you have this strong-headed woman coming in and just clanking them together. Like, there you go. I just think, just like over here, like, yeah, figure it out, idiots.
Aiden's on the other side of the door. And Rowan's like, I'll go sleep on the couch. And she's like, Rowan, we slept in a bed together for so long in Dornell. Like,
I know this like, was like,
it'll be fine.
I get like why he was doing it, but it bothered me. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, come on, dude. Like, I don't know.
He's like, fine, I'll sleep. She's like, just sleep in the bed. Like, just buzzard, get in the bed. You're stupid. Like, and so he finally lays down, and she does learn why Rowan came, because Rowan was not supposed to show up, right? It's because Lorcan is hunting for Aelin because she has the other word key. She knows where the third word key is.
She knows where it is. She doesn't have it yet.
She knows where the third word key is.
I was like, she doesn't have it.
Yeah, well, she knows where the third word key is. So Lorcan's hunting her down. And Rowan's like, I can't in good conscience not to. And he's doing it because he doesn't want it. He wants to just. So Lorcan's trying to search for the keys to destroy them because he doesn't want Maeve to get them. So he's like, that's his roundabout way of like, quote unquote, serving the blood oath, is that I'm helping my queen because bad things will happen to my queen if she uses the keys. So
he thinks.
So that's how he's justifying the blood oath and everything like that, and explaining to the readers why he was able to come and do this, right? And so we haven't seen Lorcan yet, but we know Lorcan's around. Rowan had chased Lorcan sent across the continent to Rifthold. The next morning, I want to say, Aelin and Rowan are in an argument or something, and then that's when he said, I'm blood sworn to you, and that's when Aedion...
And then little bitchy Aedion.
That's when Aedion's like, I was supposed to take the blood oath.
This is when Katie gets all like, I love it.
Just
like, he's not that big of a child.
He literally
Poor kid.
runs around and stomps his feet, basically. And she's like, you need to get out, because he went to pick up something and throw it. And she's like, if you break anything in my apartment, I will end you. And so she's like, go throw your tantrum somewhere else. So then Adie like slams the door and leaves. I was just like, okay, I understand this was a big part of your life.
Especially what keeps you alive. Think about it, though.
I
like,
get it.
He's got to be like 21. Let's just assume. I don't know if she specifies, but he's like 2 or 3 years older than her. Mm-hmm. She's like, what, 19 at this point?
Yeah.
So he's probably like 21. Okay.
No.
So
I thought he was significantly older than her. Maybe not.
I don't think so, because they grew up together.
Maybe he just seems older because he's been like the general and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but this is also the chick that was in the salt mines. And then, like, she went to another continent. I don't know. These kids have grown up a lot faster than our generation.
That's
I'm over
true.
here like, I don't know. By the time I was 20, I was just happy to be leaving my parents' house. Yeah, so I just feel like, I don't know, like your whole life. And that's what kept him going, though. He was like, I know she's still alive. And
she's still alive.
I'm gonna be like her, what is it? Her second? I don't know how the hell that works.
I don't know. He was going to be in the
blood
court
sworn
serving
means.
her.
Like, I don't get
be
it.
a part of her cadre.
Yeah, I just, it is what it is.
I understand Aedion's frustration. I think the way he handles it is awful. And then
he's a baby.
But
21 is like not old enough to be like.
I need to know how old he is now, because I just like.
Maybe even if he was 23, he's definitely not 25.
Still,
and he's definitely not 500 like Rowan.
No,
Creepy.
he's not. Yeah. But we will learn that Rowan is, because Rowan will sit there like, Rowan drops some multiple bombs when he shows up. So Rowan's like, he's half Fae. And Aelin's like, what do you mean? He's like, you know who his dad is, right? And she's like, no, we didn't know who his dad was. And he's like, that's Gabriel's kid.
Like, because his 100%. Mom goes to her grave without telling anybody.
Yeah, so no, she didn't tell anybody.
But he can smell it, right?
He's like,
just like walks up and is like,
looking at him, and he's like, that's Gabriel in a different form. Like, that's just Gabriel. And she's like staring at him. She's like, oh shit, that is Gabriel's kid. And so that bomb gets dropped. Lysandra shows up, and they're still in the process of like dealing with Arabin, right? Lysandra shows up, and they're talking and stuff, and he's like, you're a shifter. Like, and she's like, oh, how did you know? He's like, you smell like one. Like, what the fuck, Rowan? Rowan's just showing up to be like, huh, I know this thing about you. Just from looking at you.
I know. And it did, when he did say that, though, I was so like, what the fuck is happening? Which I kind of thought it was cool, like, later. Mm-hmm. But when he did it, I was like, what? She's a what?
Yeah. And we will get to see, we'll see Lysandra's family, actually. Lysandra's uncle will come into the fray in Empire of Storms, I think, or Kingdom of Ash. It's one of the two, but he's another shifter.
Yeah.
And we'll find out that that is actually her blood family. So it Lysandra is, and then I think they have like an argument about something, and she or not an argument, but they're like having discussion, and at some point, Aelin says she'd love to be like a snow leopard or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, what's that?" And so they like start describing it, and that's going to be like the primary form that she ends up in, is that snow leopard form.
You can. I totally would pick it though. Like, it's cool.
So cool. She will have a lot of forms that she's in, but that snow leopard form kind of ends up being like her comfort form eventually once magic comes back. So very cool to see that foreshadowing ahead. They have lots of like times where they're just talking over breakfast and like having pastries and all that kind of stuff, and that's more of the bonding with Lysandra and everything like that. Then she sends a bottle of, she gets a package, and Arobynn has a bottle of almond oil that he sends. So Rowan and her went down to the sewers to catch a Vogue commander.
So gross.
They tied him up. They interrogated him and stuff, and they were able to pull him. He only had a ring on, so they were able to pull him out of the possession a little bit to learn about him, and they end up slicing off that ring. They slice off his hand, his finger. They take the ring, and they end up putting a fake ring on, and they're like, "There's a plan here. You will die," because the guy's like, "Please just kill me."
Yeah, I can't imagine, because you're like pulling two different, like, it's like having multiple personalities.
And you've
like,
had to witness so many horrible things
yes.
that these Vogue commanders are doing. Again, I'm skipping a bunch of stuff because there's just
so much.
Arobynn sends a gift, and she's looking at it, and it's a bottle of almond oil, and it has like a note for Aelin to, all this stuff, because they have this dinner. And Adian's already going to go, and Rowan's like, "Do you want me to go?" And she's like, "Obviously, I want you to go." But he's like, "What is that?" And she's like, "It's Arabynn's favorite smell. It's one more thing that he can say, like, this is mine," right? He already said at the end of Assassin's Blade, "I don't like sharing." And that was his issue with her being with Sam, was that he was having to share his possessions,
so
right?
Gross.
So this is a through line.
Supposed to be like your daddy, and he's over there like.
Well, she's constantly like, he was kind of my father figure, but maybe a lover who hadn't quite crossed the boundary yet. It's so gross. Everything about Arobynn is just disgusting. One of my favorite scenes comes up when they do go up to Arobynn, and he's like, she has that beautiful black gown on with the dragon up the back. I want that gown so badly. Anyways. So she's wearing that, and she wore it primarily because when Rowan was going through her closet, he was like, "This is gorgeous." And she's like, "Yeah, I just haven't had a reason to wear it," right? And so then when she gets a chance to dress up in front of Rowan, he's like, "Oh, shit." And Rowan's been fighting off the fact that he's into Aelin this whole time. He feels like if he has this attraction to Aelin, and it feels stronger than just like, "Oh, I think you're hot," right? Like, the Fae have these very severe feelings, and obviously he already knows they're Karanom, but it feels like more, and he's been battling that because Lyria was his mate, and Lyria died, and she's buried on a mountaintop away from him, and that was a relationship that was so vital to his trauma experiences that he had, right?
Yes.
So he feels like if he accepts this with Aelin, then he's doing a disservice to Lyria. He sees her in this dress, and he's like, "Oh God, she looks amazing." And they show up to Arabynn's, and he's just like, "You're so gorgeous, Aelin, blah, blah, blah." And he's like hugging her. And he's like, "You smell so wonderful," and stuff. And Rowan says, "Thank you for the almond oil. My skin was really dry." And that's when Aelin goes, "Oh my God, it doesn't just smell like almond because of me. It smells like it because of him." And Arabynn's pissed. He's like, and Rowan and her, we get to see in Air of Fire that they have like these conversations between their heads. And I guess there will be an ACOTAR tie into this, but we know that in mates, Fae mates in ACOTAR will have those mating bond conversations, right? So she always says in Air of Fire, it's like we can talk without saying anything, but they are having full conversations, like with their facial expressions. We'll see that again when they're at the table with Arobynn, and they're talking back and forth, where they'll be like, Arabynn's talking, and she and Rowan are just so locked into each other. They're having a full conversation. At one point, she says she's not wearing undergarments. And I'm like, there's no way that they're just like making faces at each other, which is not making faces at all, and just speaking to each other. They're having a full conversation. And I think it represents similar to what that mating bond is, because we'll know obviously later on that they're mates, but he doesn't know that. Neither one of them know that yet. No, neither of them know that. Aelin knows that there's something else with Rowan that feels stronger.
Yeah.
And at this point, she's like, is it Karanam? I think in Empire of Storms, she'll say, like, she always knew that it was her mate.
Yeah, but she doesn't actually, like...
She doesn't fully know that. I think she
doesn't know what a mate is, like, in all reality of, like Rowan probably knows it better, like...
I think she probably doesn't know what it's supposed to feel like,
That's
right?
what I mean,
yeah.
though, like...
So she's like, there's something really strong that pulls me to him, but I don't understand it. And so she's seeing all their flirting, they're doing all this stuff. She keeps putting on these, like, slinky nightgowns and stuff, and he's like, do you have any other night clothes? And she's like, so if I was going to pick a color that you would love, like, what would that color be? And he's like, doesn't say anything. And so she figures he's just gonna drop it and they're gonna, like, not flirt over this. And he was like, it would be gold, but like metallic gold, not like a fake gold. And that is going to be a key thing she will employ later.
Yeah.
Is she will walk out in that gold nightgown. And I think Rowan will, like, he, like, gets up and dumps. Or no, he goes into the bathroom and he, like, puts cold water on his face afterwards because he, like, intentionally is like, he's like, I can't touch her. So we'll do the whole thing with Arabin. He leads her down specifically to the room that Sam was in to put their captive in. It's like a whole fucking thing. They take him down.
Oh yeah, because they're about the ring. Because of the... Okay, I was confused for a second. I was like, who did they take down?
So initially, I think what happens is they lead the Volk commander down. They do some, like, interrogating and stuff. And then, and she's like, the ring's on the other... He's like, left hand, the ring's on the left hand. And so then he takes the thing, he cuts off the finger while the guy's still alive. And then he takes the ring because he's like, oh, I'm going to study this, is what he tells Aelin. And then they interrogate him, get all this information out of him, but just basically a lie that they came up with that the guy was going to tell was that the king cut him and then licked his blood, and then that's how he, like, did it. And so then they end up having dinner. Arabin's very much not being paid attention to by Aelin and Rowan, and they're just, like, flirting across the table from each other. Arabin's taking notice of all of it, obviously. And then they're leaving, and then Arabin slips the ring onto her finger, and assuming that it's a real Volk ring, obviously it's not. And this is when I was like, dirtbag!
It's so like, gross! Just like, what a piece of shit. Like, literally when he slips on her finger and he says, like, I can't remember exactly. Does he say, like, I love you or
tell
something?
me you love me.
That's what it is.
He's like, tell me I'm great. And she's like, you're great. And then he's like, tell me you love me. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, say my name. She's like, I love you, Arabin Hamel. And the way Elizabeth Evans does it is so good. You're just like, ugh.
Yeah, you're just like, everything in you is like dying. You're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
So gross. And so he's like, hell yeah, I am now in control of this bitch.
God, he's so gross.
So disgusting. And they end up going back to, she, like, rides like that in the carriage, pretending that she's, and Adian and Rowan were outside the thing listening with their Fae hearing, obviously, like, the whole time, and Rowan's just, like, vibrating with anger and everything.
I can't imagine, because he's, like, truly, like, my woman.
Yeah, exactly. And then they end up back at the apartment, and Adian goes to bed, and I think she goes and takes watch up on the rooftop, and it's raining, and Rowan comes up there. And then that's when they get really close, and she, like, puts her hand on his cheek and stuff, and it seems like they're about to kiss, and then he says, "Don't touch me like that," and, like, shoves her.
And
away.
then Adian's like, it just, like, bothers
down
me.
Underneath in the thing, like,
yes.
No,
fucking piece of shit. They're all fucking pieces of shit. All of them. This whole story, like, every time I was just like, the fucking drama, like, but it's real though. It's like really how you feel about shit, like. I mean, like, she did a great fucking job. I have to be honest. This is the only book where I'm not like, and they're walking, we're world building. Yeah. This one reminds me of, like, the first book, the Throne of Glass, because it's just so much shit's happening that you're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So it's like, you're just so excited. You're like, oh shit, oh shit. But then you, like, get into other books and you're like, and we're walking. I get you're building the fucking world. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
And so after this, Rowan and Aelin are not talking. Like, every time he tries to reach out,
you. Like, I know, you just told me, like, don't touch me. Like, I don't know. Everything in me was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, damn, what the fuck?
Well, and Rowan kept being like, can we talk about it? She's like, no, I don't want to talk about it.
No,
like, what do you mean?
Fucking hurt. Like, fuck you.
She's like, you made it very clear what we're doing. So, like, you know, leave me alone. And Rowan, every time, like, they're doing something, he, like, wants to reach for her hand and stuff. And she's like, no, like, it's, no. She's going to have, there you have a run-in with, she didn't have to run in with Lorcan later. They haven't killed Arabin yet, right?
I don't know. I was trying to figure out if that had already happened
Is it
or
that
not.
same night? Oh no, it is that same night, right? Because
Okay.
she's looking out across the.
I was trying to figure
I
it
think
out.
she's
I was
looking out across the rooftop at it, and he's like, "Are you sure?" Because yeah, so it was what was gonna happen was they were gonna come back, and Aelin was gonna go kill Arabin, and Aelin was like, because the ring was like one last trial for Arabin, right? It was to see, does he actually care about me or not?
Yes, he doesn't. He just wants me to be his little slave.
Exactly. It's like, no, he only cares about what he can get out of people. He doesn't care about people. And so that was the big, like, okay, this is my sign. And he was like, do you want support on this or anything? And she's like, no. And she gives Lysandra the ability to be the one who does it. And I think that is so cathartic for Lysandra.
I love that so much. This was one of the scenes where, like, I was like, yes. Because Katie's like, okay,
no,
Psycho.
I loved it. No.
But I was just like,
yeah, it was perfect. I do have to say, though, I kind of was like, when Arabin dies, it's like, oh, he's just dead now. Like, it just happened. But
I was fucking beyond excited.
But I almost
both times
feel like,
I read this was like,
I almost feel like it was perfect, though, because I don't think like a fiery ending to Arabin is what we needed. We needed like a quiet in the night. It was just done. And Lysandra, while Aelin had been hurt by him so much, I think Lysandra had the full frontal, like, in-person abuse from him. Like,
yeah, because he fucking
more
kept her in
intimate
his
like
bed
that.
and paid
Yeah.
for her.
And so, yeah, it was...
Didn't he even make a fucking comment like, I paid you enough gold to, like, free you or something? He makes some snarty comment about it.
like,
Early in, like... Remember, because the only reason why she's back in servitude is because of the child.
Yeah, so she's back in... Yeah. She's back in servitude because of Evangeline, because she scarred Evangeline's face so that she wouldn't be able to be used by...
Yes, but
her.
he makes a comment like, I've, like, paid for you. Like,
Yeah.
It's the fucking way he said it, though. That, like, the abuse had to have been, like,
The
he might not have seen it directly, but that's the kind of abuse that people like that do behind closed doors. Like,
and it's the ownership that he feels over this person, that he just gets to use her body in whatever way he
fucking
wants.
Piece of shit.
So for Lysandra being the one to kill him was so cathartic. Like, it felt like the perfect person. And Kael helped with it. He went and made boot prints in the blood and all this kind of stuff. Aedion does have a few things that he will bring up throughout this series where he's like, Aelin, you haven't done this for us. You haven't. Where's our funding? Where's our armies? Where's our whatever?
Yeah,
and so
I forgot about that.
Aelin had been sneaking out to go to the bank a bunch of times, and we find out that later what she'd been doing was she was spying on the banker while she was making all the small talk to figure out where he keeps his important documents, where he keeps his keys to those important documents, all that kind of stuff. So when she broke in, she changed the will so that when Arabin died, he gave everything to Aelin. And then Aelin goes in one last time to the keep, swaggers around saying, like, who let my master get killed, all this kind of stuff. And then she tells the assassins there, if you can give me the money, I will sell it at face value to you, and you will all own the keep, and then I'm done with you. Because otherwise she was like, I'm kicking you all out. This is my place.
Yeah, you had like 20, not even 24 hoars, like 12 hours or something.
Yeah,
you had till like the night
It was like the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
she's savage. She was like, out, bitches.
Yeah, and Arabin, or Aedion and Rowan are like, oh shit, we haven't seen this side of her, right?
Yeah.
Aedion has a hard time with it because he's like, this is who she had to become. Like, this is who she had to live as for so long.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't believe that I wasn't there to protect you.
Which is probably the only thing I hate about him.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, get over yourself. Like, I want him to, like, I understand his thought process. That was about the only time where I was like, oh God, like, come back, boy. Like,
yeah,
you're not her lover.
I know. He feels this like immense protection over her because she was the younger kid, right? She had like when they were he was really her only friend as a child, other than a little bit Alid. But I think Alid makes a comment that Aelin wasn't really interested in her being friends with her because she wasn't a very exciting kid and she was always scared of things and stuff. And Aelin wanted to run around and be wild, and that wasn't who she was. And so really Aedion has this ownership over him. It really is like Selena and Aelin, all of her personalities have this issue of like, men do not own me. Men are not in charge of me. So she has a struggle with a lot of these guys where it's like, you are not my keeper.
Yeah.
I am a fully capable woman and I will do what I'm going to do. And a lot of these guys who, I mean, they live in this basically patriarchal society are having an issue with that.
I mean, I don't know. We still do kind of live in that world.
We do, but But I like that Aelin, and it is a fault of hers as well, is that she doesn't rely on other people, and she does have this I can do it on my own attitude when maybe it's not always the most serving to the other people that she's trying to help. So it's a mixed bag on that, right? But she goes to the keep. She basically sells it to the assassins, and what happens is she has all of that money now, and Adian's like, what are you doing? And she's like, here's the money for our army. We have to, here, you wanted funds? I gave you funds.
Yeah.
Like, and so Adian's like, oh shit, okay. She does go down and see Arabin's body, and she cuts off his head. And everyone's kind of looking at her like, oh shit. And it was like, just to make sure he doesn't come back, is what she said.
She did it better than me. I think I would have literally punched the shit out of him. I think, like, I know he's dead, but, like, something in me still wanted to hit him a few times. Like, so I think just cutting off his head to me wasn't enough satisfaction for my, like, I needed to hit him a couple times and then go from there. Like, I don't know. My brain was like, oh, I needed more. Mm-hmm. I need to maybe carve his chest or something. I don't know.
They're coming up with a plan, and I don't know if this is before or after Lysandra gets kidnapped, so bear with me on this. But they're coming with a plan to free magic, right? Because Chaol's like, the clock tower is how you're going to get rid of it. So you're like, well, how do you get rid of the clock tower? A massive explosion, and Aelin had figured out in the Shadow Market there was someone who sold hellfire, and the Shadow Market got blown up, and by the king and everything, destroyed it. But she's like, hey, the Philiques know people, and so she goes to Nezrin's family bakery, and she's like, hey, I need a pie from Nellie, and Nellie's like, blah blah blah's wherever, and so she's like, I already knew that guy was dead, so but I know if we go down underneath that there's like another level below the sewers where they had kept things. So she's like, I knew that the guy who dealt hellfire was already dead. I just needed to know where he kept the hellfire.
Yeah.
And Rowan's like, we're not using hellfire.
I thought it was a great idea. I think she's fucking brilliant.
She is brilliant. But Rowan's like, I've seen this destroy like whole continents, basically.
Hey,
like, this is a bad idea.
You gotta, that tower can't be easy to destroy, though.
No, right?
Like,
it's
you
made
know,
of word stone. So Aelin's like, okay, here's our hellfire. And they're like, well, we know it's here. Let's leave it here. But they do find a temple underneath that. And that's when they find like the whole thing with Brannon underneath it and everything. And she feels like she also got the I forgot to mention, while she was with Arabin before they left, she got the amulet of Orinth back, which was the amulet she had around her neck when she left Terrasen that has the third word key in it. And when she grabs it, she's hiding it in her bedroom with Rowan, and she feels like Rowan's power come into her. And I think this is another moment, not necessarily of their Karanom bond, but their mating bond, of kind of him being protective of her in a way.
I always just thought it was the other bond.
Yeah, I think the Karanom bond, I don't fully understand the difference, I guess.
Me either.
I know it's like they can share power, but we know that mates have like this like instinct with each other, and they can sense each other's power as well. From ACOTAR, I think, is our best example of that, because we will get to see, like, in ACOTAR, where Rhysand will feel Feyre get hurt and stuff, and, like, feel it in himself. And we'll actually see Rowan feel that later, where they can sense each other. So, I see I'm bringing up ACOTAR more than I thought it was.
I was thinking it, and I was like, just don't say anything. Like, let it go.
She did
do a spoiler, yeah.
But, they're going to have a run-in with Lorcan. I think it's after they go to the temple and everything. That's when Lorcan pins her up against the wall.
Daddy.
And has... I love Lorcan. But has the knife to her throat.
You're just like, oh, just a little tighter, Papa. Sorry.
Rowan's scared to death because he's like, oh my God.
Yeah, because like, Lorcan could kill her.
Lorcan could kill her so easily. They end up they basically convince Lorcan to stop. And I think that's because they promised to give him the word key or whatever, and they make a deal that he will give them the ring, or because he took Avril's ring. And so he's like, I will give you the word key if you give us that, because Rowan's like, I would have given him anything, like, to get rid of it. And that's like a moment that's Rowan's like, I have to accept that this is something. I can't just keep ignoring it.
Right. Because
and they end up in bed, and she's like, so should we just talk about it finally? Like, should we grow up and like actually have a real conversation about what's going on? And because they've been avoiding each other, and then they do have that, and he's like, I didn't tell you I missed you. And you could have died and you wouldn't have known that I spent that entire time wishing you were there. And so I think that is the night that they do kiss. Or no, they don't kiss, but he bites her.
Oh, yeah.
Bites
Okay.
her.
Okay.
And they have like that kind of like primal, like he's like running his nose over her neck and like all this kind of stuff. They don't actually kiss in this moment. But it's Rowan finally giving up and being like, okay, yeah, this is what's happening. And that, I think after all of that happens, because she's like, well, maybe we should, they're both like, maybe we should wait because there's so much going on that they can't like just go for it yet. And I think Rowan gets up and he takes the pitcher of water and dumps it on his head afterward. Like Rowan's constantly like, I need a cold bath after that. But he does threaten, like say, like, I'll show you with my tongue and teeth next time or whatever else. Like there is a promise of more.
Bend you over and show you the 50 states.
There's a promise of more for the two of them. And they're kind of accepting, yes, this is something that we're going to pursue. And it took Aelin almost dying at the hands of Rowan for him to accept that.
At the hands of Lorcan?
Lorcan. Did I say Aelin?
As Rowan. You said Rowan.
Oh,
and I was like, but
Rowan.
she wanted Daddy to choke her.
Rowan.
I was like, Papa, come back.
Oh my god.
Oh God. When you said that, I was like, no.
No.
I was like, Daddy Lorcan was
Rowan
the one that was
notices at the hands
showing
of
her.
Lorcan.
Yeah, Lorcan. Papa Lorcan.
Papa Lorcan. We'll meet with Lorcan again. On top of the roof, Rowan will meet with him. He'll like quote unquote sneak out of the bedroom, which obviously Aelin's awake the whole time. They made a fake. There's a couple things they will use Lysandra's jeweler for, and the first one is going to be the Volg ring.
Yes.
And the second one is the amulet of Orinth. And Lorcan doesn't notice anything wrong about the fact that they put the actual Volg ring inside the fake amulet of Orinth so that it would have some kind of weird feeling to it, but it wouldn't be the word key. And they do the trade and everything, and Lorcan goes on his merry way, right? There are multiple times though where before she got attacked by Lorcan in the street, was that she set word hounds on him and stuff, like led him into a Volg.
Oh yeah. But he doesn't. Yeah, but he doesn't actually. He tells him that he destroyed them, but he doesn't actually destroy them.
No, he does. But she did it on purpose because she wanted to know if the word hounds could die, and so she sent Lorcan in because if anyone's gonna kill a word hound, it's Lorcan.
I thought he didn't kill them.
No, he did. He was able to kill the word hound.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I
that was
misunderstood something because I thought that Rowan was like, he didn't kill them. He just like led them astray or something.
No. So she led him into that. Then Lorcan chased her down and was like, you bitch. And that's when Rowan was able to step in that time. And then later on when they were caught unawares was when Lorcan got him. And Rowan was like, oh my God, I didn't even notice that Lorcan was here and I failed her in this moment. So we have all of this build up with, also we get Kael and Nezrin kind of like cozying up to each other. I don't like Nezrin as a character. I'm sorry. I don't care about her.
I don't think you're supposed to care about her.
Well, you are because Tower of Dawn has so many chapters devoted to Nezrin.
Okay, obviously I need to reread that one because I don't remember her at all.
Listen, Tower of Dawn's going to be a rough one for me because I
that's going to be like a two podcast.
No, I tandem read Epic Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn the first time.
That's what everybody does.
Well,
except for me.
But I'm going to do a single read through for this next time. I'll do just Tower of Dawn and just Empire of Storms on their own.
Gotcha.
And Tower of Dawn, I liked all the Kael and Irene sections. I don't care about, this is probably a hot take, I don't know. I don't care about Nezrin and Sartak at all. So every time it was a Nezrin and Sartak, I was just like, for the love of God, can we talk about something else that isn't Nezrin and Sartak right now? But that is a later podcast issue, so you'll have to listen to me ramble on about that if you stick with our coverage. But so they're setting up this whole plan to take down the king and everything, or take down the clock tower so they can free magic, right? We cut back to the witches. The witches are being set. I was going to ask
if we were going to cut back to them.
Oh, we will. So we're cutting back now because they've been sent on all these random ass missions. One of them was to take Kaltain to this village to kill them with a shadow fire. And Manon has her sitting in front on Abraxos, and she's just like, this is horrifying.
Could you just imagine though? Like I picture her like I don't know, like just bones, like not like like we're healthy women, we have like actual muscle. Yeah. I just picture her just being this like real frail, thin, like really pale because
Yeah.
she's always in the dungeon or always like locked up some tower. Like
Yeah.
they never keep her anywhere nice.
Yeah.
She doesn't see sunlight.
Well, and Duke
like,
Harrington's just been abusing her the whole time.
yeah.
Right? So,
well,
like,
I mean, you see it in the very first book. He's giving her like opium or something.
yeah.
Right. He's just like, here you go. Like,
Yeah.
get fucking high. Nobody cares about you. I
Yeah.
don't know. It just, poor freaking, I can't.
I know. So Caltaine does that. And we see what that Shadowfire can really do.
Yes. Doesn't she like, oh.
She takes out a whole village. Just from up above.
Just-
She's done.
And then even Manon's like,
yeah, Manon's like, oh shit, this is horrifying. But she's also kind of like Manon again. When she killed the Kraken in the last book, the Kraken's like, monsters are not born; they're made, and that's been sitting with Manon. It keeps repeating in her head, like, what do you mean? Like, this is not like I've been raised that we don't have hearts. That's what her grandmother raised her like, and now she's starting to question, like, are all the things that I'm doing bad? You know, like. The witch coven is one of the first things that is like that goes down for breeding is one of the first things that's like, oh shit, this just feels wrong, right? And so then the thing with Caltaine was like, this feels wrong too. She gets sent on another mission to get a prisoner, and we find out that that's Lysandra. Because Evangeline will break into the warehouse and will be like, hey, she's gone, like they took her. And it's because of her bloodline. And Erebin had slipped what her bloodline was to the king because he was pissed off about the fact that they were cozying up and Aelin had fucked him over when they went through the whole thing with Aedion. So Erebin, even from beyond his grave, is fucking these guys over. So Lysandra gets captured and they're taking her to Morath because they found that it's useful to have magic wielders when the Volg want to possess people. Chaol, Aedion, Nazrin, Aelin and Rowan all have this plan to go save Lysandra, and that's when we see Manon interacting with Dorian and the king. So the king will show up with Dorian. Dorian's obviously got his Wordstone collar on, and we will get the hello witchling, hello princeling interaction with them.
yeah, I was trying to think though, like her grandmother's there, right? 'Cause
grandmother's
she tells her
there.
to stay back.
I think all three of the matrons are there. And her grandmother like leads all the
Fucking
matrons.
sicko,
Yeah, and she's like, don't ask questions. Like, this is ridiculous. And what happens is all of these conversations are going on while they're killing the guards and then getting Lysandra out and then throwing the dead guards into the prison wagon. Because Aelin knows all of the weak points of that prison wagon, right?
Yeah.
She rode in one for a long time. And so they get Lysandra out. And during this time, the king shows up and he's like, talk to my son. And so Manon's like, okay. Manon also starts talking to him. She's like, what's your name? And he's like, you don't have a name. Stop talking to her because she has the golden eyes of the Volg kings. So the prince is terrified. The Volg prince is terrified that's it. And he's like, stop talking to her. Stop talking to her. Like, she's scary. Stop talking to her. But Manon is so hot and so desirable that and just so amazing that, and I wonder partly if it is because she does have the eyes of a Volg king that it's able to distract the Volg prince. But Dorian overcomes Volg possession to talk to Manon and flirt with her. Like,
I mean, everybody I've ever talked to that's read this story is like, yes, Manon.
yes,
like,
Manon.
She's like the only mama that you're like, oh my God. so I don't know.
That's when we get the hello princeling, hello witchling. She is able to draw out his name from him. And she says, if I cut you, what color would you bleed? And he says, I'll bleed whatever. He says, would you bleed red or black? And he says, I'll bleed whatever color you tell me to. So Dorian is down bad for Manon, even as even with a Volg possession going on. The Volg prince is like, shut up, stop talking to her. And that is a super important interaction though, because later on, after they get Lysandra out and everything, the 13 chase them down, right? And Manon and her she's trying to get across. Aelin's trying to get across the bridge and everything. And Manon goes down, and Astrid screams for Manon. And that scream for Manon is enough for Aelin to say, she hurts the same way I would hurt for Rowan. And Rowan got shot in the shoulder during this time with an arrow. And so she was like, I can't take away someone from someone who's obviously so loved by another like that.
Plus, if she did, the whole fucking story ended.
Right,
Like,
we need Manon.
we're done. The story's over.
But-
Everybody needs hot Manon.
So she ends up saving Manon, and then Manon's pissed because now she owes Aelin a life debt, right?
Yeah.
She will repay that life debt by letting her know. It says witch killer. The prince is still inside him. or the man is still inside him, I think. It says, witch killer, the man is still inside him. And it's painted in blood on a wall in Rifthold before they're going to go do all the stuff to attack the palace and take down the tower. So Manon will come back with kind of, and this is again later on after Manon's kind of had an epiphany of, okay, this is my life debt. I'm not going to just go along with whatever my grandma's doing anymore. So they'll get back to Morath. The king will be pissed, or the Duke Parrington will be pissed that they weren't able to make whatever happen, that Lysandra escaped, all this stuff. Manon will use a lead to go down and see what's going on with that witch coven. Yeah. And a lead goes down there and she's horrified. Like the only thing, and this
is when I'm like,
she opens the door, or the door opens. So she had been tracking the laundresses and stuff, and she like pretended to be a laundress and everything to get down there. And the person who opens the door is a gorgeous man of golden hair. And we know that Dorian's cousin Roland, from the first book, the second book, had been sent to Morath at one point, and he left with Duke Parrington. And it was because he had the magic bloodline as well. He ended up in Morath, so that person who opens the door is Roland. So it's crazy to see him come back into the fray and know that this is where he is. Elide will see all of the horrifying things. The witches are strapped down to Wordstone altars. They very obviously have already given birth and are already pregnant again. So they're just continually doing it. And the babies have like snouts and they're monstrous demons and everything. Like they are not at all what they would expect witchlings to be like.
No, but like witches like not only have trouble getting pregnant, isn't it like staying pregnant is hard also?
I think, yeah, in general, witchlings are just considered very
rare.
They're rare, and they're also something to hold in high regard, I guess, would be another way to say it. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but they're very valuable. They're very important to witch culture, and so they learn all of this. Astrid and Sorrel are in the room while Elide shares everything. Elide's throwing up in the corner because it's horrifying.
I can't imagine. I would have been throwing up too. Just my brain pictures it as like almost like a baby making factory. Like they're literally just, and then they're putting a stone in you that's like literally coming out, and then they're sticking. I don't know. My brain just
horrifying.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, this whole storyline was just so awful.
Right.
Astrid will look visibly like horrified, just beyond the fact that it was horrifying, just looks way more affected than anybody else. And she ends up taking Manon out to like a mountaintop, and they have a talk. And she's like, "I fell in love with a hunter." This is like she ended up. I think when magic was still around, but she like ended up in. I don't remember exactly how she ended up in the mountains, but maybe it was when magic went away.
No,
it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but I think she was like on like a mission or something. Like her grandmother had sent her to do something, and she was just wandering around.
Yeah, or maybe her broom broke or something like that. She ended up in the mountain, near this cabin, and she ends up meeting this hunter in the cabin, and they end up falling in love. He knew what she was, and she knew, and they ended up falling in love, and she got pregnant, and she spent all of that time not hunting Krakens like she was supposed to be.
That's what she was supposed to be doing. Yeah, I was like, she's supposed to be doing something.
All of them were supposed to be hunting Krakens. And then when she got called back, she went and she found out she was pregnant. She told the matron, and the matron was pissed about it. And then she ended up delivering a stillborn baby. And so that obviously crushed her. The grandmother wouldn't even let her see the witchling. She just threw it in the fire.
Which, okay, so I could just be completely wrong, but every time I read this story, and I've read it twice now, I've always believed that the baby was alive and that the grandmother fucking killed it.
Yeah, I want to believe that, too.
I don't think that she had, I think, because why would she throw it in the fire? Like, why did she care?
Well, she said
I feel like she killed it on purpose.
She said the baby
she was such
born.
a fucking sicko.
I know. I wouldn't put it past that to be the real story. Astrid said that the baby was born and she waited for it to cry, and it didn't.
I know, but my
I also
kid didn't cry either.
I wonder if there was just if the baby had been stimulated, if they would have cried,
Yeah.
So you never know. We just won't know if that's what happened. But she does immediately threw the baby in the fire, and then using the same fire the baby's body was burning in, she branded her letter by letter with unclean across her abdomen.
Yeah.
And so
sick fucking bitch.
Yeah, so Astrid shows that to Manon, and Manon's like, witchlings are so precious. I can't imagine and she's like, well, now I can understand my grandmother obviously doesn't care, because she wouldn't treat witchlings the way she is now if she actually thought they were precious and is important to witch culture. if she allowed this to keep happening, right?
Yeah, no, she's a sicko.
And obviously what
fucking,
she did.
That whole story just fucking wrecked me.
It's just so, I was like crying when Astrid was talking. I was like, that's so sad. I think it hit even more because when I first read it, I was a pretty new mother. I think my daughter was like maybe a year old or so. So now listening to it, it's just even worse.
It's worse, right? You just think like your child. I don't know. And then it was even worse that she just would fly over and he would be waiting.
Yeah,
until
he waited.
He died.
He never was with anybody else, and she always said she would return back. So it was just so sad. Astrid's whole story is just awful.
God.
So that is really that moment where Manon's like, I'm not doing this. And Duke Parrington's like, I told you I want a Blackbeak coven, and this time you will give me a Blackbeak coven. This is when Manon's like, I'm not doing that. Like, this is not happening anymore. We'll cut forward and to Aelin and everything. They have all this plan to blow up the clock tower. They're sneaking into the palace. Chaol has his men that are all spiked to the wall when they get up there, like all of his men that had been working with him that were like still in the employ of the king, right?
Yeah.
They'd all been found out, and Chaol had to just like pretend like it wasn't happening while they were sneaking in. And the cover was that Selena, quote unquote, was back with Chaol in chains saying, I caught him and stuff. Meanwhile, not Lorcan, but Aedion and Rowan are underground trying to go set up the Hellfire fuse and everything like that.
Yeah.
So this, I have to say, while all of that, so they were supposed to by noon blow up the clock tower and magic would be back, because it was very important magic came back, because that's the only way that Aelin would be able to fight against another magic wielder, right? Is she needs her power back. Everything relied on that. The king sees right through it. Obviously, he's like, I know who you are. I know that you have Chaol. It's working with you very obviously. He's like, just take the chains off. I know they're not real. And Dorian is in the chamber with them. And Aelin is like, okay, the sun is shining, and Rowan's panicking because they have a whole thing of word hounds that come after them, and they haven't set it off yet. Lorcan also shows up to be a problem and all of that, and then Lorcan ends up being involved. However, I have to say, reading this book, I knew that Rowan and Aelin were going to end up together. Obviously that was the thing that got spoiled for me. However, reading this book the first time through, I was genuinely panicking that Rowan was going to die. Or Lorcan. I wanted neither. I didn't really care about Aedion, but like,
I didn't know that. You were just like, against fuck Aedion.
I was genuinely concerned that one of those three were going to die during this, and I was like, no, it can't die. They can't die. Or Dorian, because I was like, no. Aelin ends up running away and running out, and there's like a whole chase scene and everything. Dorian ends up getting closer to her, and she's trying to break Dorian out of that. Right, because they know, like, she and Chaol
saw Manon do it,
yeah,
so they know it can happen.
Yeah, Manon repaid her life debt and said, "Hey, like, he's in there, don't kill him." And Chaol and her agreed, like, they would do what they could to get him out, but if they couldn't, then Aelin would do it, or if Chaol asked to be the one to do it, Aelin would allow him to be the one. So they both made the agreement, yes, because Chaol had seen. I forgot to mention when they'd been in that clearing and he saw everything going on. He was like, "Dorian's gone." And Chaol fucked everything up by running up and trying to kill Dorian. So there was like a whole thing with word marks and all the stuff that happened in there. Anyways, back to where we were at. They end up on this like glass bridge, and Aelin puts Athrel's ring on Dorian, which is enough to get him out of the Vogue possession. And the Vogue's like fighting inside of him, right? And the king's showing up. And Dorian ends up managing to rip that collar off of himself with his bare hands. And then he and Aelin, like almost Karanom bond, fight, like merge their power together against the king. And the king ends up explaining everything of that. He set up the clock towers because, so what happened was Parrington had convinced him, and they had accidentally freed Erewhon. Parrington was overtaken by Erewhon. He had the Vogue possession, and everything he did with taking away magic was to help Dorian, was to make sure that he would be safe.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Because I think we've talked about this before. When you read this, did you believe that?
I did believe it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Dorian obviously wasn't sure if he believed it, but I was like, it makes sense to me that the king, because the king never spoke like that throughout all this time.
Yeah, but as a parent too, you're also like, because he's not a parent, like he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But like as a parent, you do a lot of things for your children that they'll never understand.
Yes.
Why you made those choices. But the first time I read it, I was like, holy shit. And then Dorian's like, oh, he's a liar. And I was like, I hate you so much right now, Dorian. That was when I was like, I just want to shake this fucking child. Like, yeah. But I was just curious because I believed it. I was like, holy shit, the things he did. And didn't he go to her to be like, they went to her house so that she could be killed, and then her mother like took her away or something? Her mother was like, I don't remember how it like.
Yes. So he that was when he had done the like niggling into her brain, almost like an Akatar.
Yeah.
Like so there's so many things I have to talk about when we get into what did you call the Maasverse? What did you call it when we were at work? What was the name you came up? No, dang it! It was so perfect. But yeah, there's so many ties into everything. So I don't know. We'll talk about it more when we're actually in our like Maasverse type situation coverage. But the king ends up dying in all of this because they throw their magic together. Aelin ends up getting like thrown off into I think she jumps off and because all the glass castle shattered.
Yeah,
right?
when he first died, though, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think he really died.
Me either. I thought he was gonna come
sure
back.
This was just like a ploy to like really fuck with us. I was like, oh shit.
But Dorian's magic flares out and he destroys the glass castle in his rage. And
then
Aelin's falling, and she slows herself down with her fire, but she also notices there's a cool wind that's helping, which Rowan, obviously, which gives her lets her know that they escaped. Rowan, when they were down underneath the tower, had said that he felt Aelin get hurt.
Plus, everybody felt like the surge of their
there was like a sparkle that went across everything. I will say too, tracking the Rowan and Aelin kiss watch before they went off to do the big explodey thing. The next day, she says, "I just want to kiss you one time," and so they do kiss before that, and then he makes more promises about using his tongue and teeth later if they make it through. So
Katie's like, just use your tongue and teeth. Come on, let's get
just use it.
I just want to see those canines.
We won't really get to see that until the beach on Empire Storms, but anyways. So Aelin ends up seeing all these glass shards that are racing towards Rifthold, and she slows it down with her fire, and it ends up making this like sloped up like glass wall. Yeah. And Aelin goes up and first of all, she passes out. Then she wakes up and all of the citizens are like, what the fuck happened? And Aelin's like, the king is dead. Dorian is now your king. I am in charge of Rifthold until he's out of his mourning period. If you have any problems, you talk to me. Don't start any fucking issues. Don't make me have to deal with you. I am Aelin Galathinius. I am the Queen of Terrasen. Like, don't fuck with me. It's basically the whole conversation. Yeah. And then she walks back into the palace, and then she crashes onto the ground and starts crying. And then Rowan picks her up and takes her to Adian, I think, or Kael leads her to what was the old rooms that she was staying in before, in the stone part of the palace. And then she recovers for like 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Not only did you use your power, but that's stressful. Somebody just died. I don't know. There was just a lot of shit that happened that she just needed to she just needed some time to recoup. Like, even if it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, in Morath, before magic gets brought back, they've decided they're not doing this anymore, right? They run into Kaltain, and Kaltain, first of all, while they were gone doing the whole thing with Lysandra, Alid got kidnapped by Vernon. And he was like, you have witch blood in you. We're going to marry you off to this Volg king. Or his last name was Cormac. And I did look it up. It was not the same Cormac from Crescent City. Because I was like, wait. Because he was a redhead named Cormac. And I was like, what the fuck?
I looked it up because it was his surname, I guess, is super, super common in Ireland.
Yeah, I was like, okay, fine. But I was just like, why would you make him a redhead named Cormac?
Because Cormac in redheads in Ireland is a very, like, you could almost like, it's almost like Johnson in America.
It'll be like throwing a stone, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I had to look it up though, because I was like, I don't think they go together.
No, I was like, wait a second. But it was not. It was not a connection that was actually being made. So she was getting like scrubbed down. She was like in a robe and in nothing else and stuff. And then Manon ends up coming and saving her because she like sniffs her out. And then they go and they're like, we're getting everybody out. We're not doing this. They were going to go rescue the witch covens that were being bred and everything. And then they run into Kaltain, and Kaltain's like, she rips out she cuts open her arm and takes out the word key, and she tells she had swapped dresses with Elide, and she had put the robe on, and then Elide's like she tells Elide to reach in the pocket, and she pulls out a black like ragged piece of cloth, and then Kaltain takes the word key out and puts it in there, and she said, "Go find Selena Sardothian and tell her that Kaltain never forgot a cloak in a cold dungeon."
Yeah.
And so Elide takes that word key. She's like, "I don't know where I'm going to go." Manon looks at Kaltain, and Kaltain's like, "I'm taking care of this." So Kaltain uses her shadow fire. She goes into where the witches were being bred.
Yeah.
And she kills all of the guys in there. And I think she kills the witches
I
too,
hope she
and
did,
all of the witchlings.
Because they really needed to not
I think she killed everyone.
The horrific post-traumatic stress from that was, you're never going to heal.
Yeah.
Like,
but
you're always going to be screwed up.
She looked enough like Elide that they thought she was Elide, and going down to do her little marriage thing that they were going to do, and they realized too late that it was not Elide, and she kills everybody in it. I think she kills all the witches and the witchlings as well. And then she goes down into the barrens of Morath, and she explodes like half of Morath in shadow fire. And that is her final act, is she dies in that shadow fire while all of the 13 are escaping.
I just couldn't imagine though, like, I thought about it when she died. I was like, I was on a walk, and I was like, thank God. Like, I mean, she was a great person, but like, just thank God, like, she didn't have to suffer anymore, because I can't imagine her mental state.
No, not at all. And so Kaltain ends up doing this huge thing and kills off a bunch of Volk while there and everything. The 13 escape. They end up like plopping Elide in a forest, and you're like, okay, go on. I think it's Oakwald Forest or something like that.
This is when we're walking start.
So they're like, she's like, how do I, like, where am I going to go? And they're like, just get to Terrason. I guess it's like, that's all you have to do.
Honey.
And so then they leave Elide. She's like, just, be careful. Like, we'll find you again.
Let's get Gimpy Leg to go for a walk. Fucking, the whole time I was just like, these fucking bitches. Like, oh my God.
They're like, we adopted you, but now we're just like sending you on your own. Have fun, little lady.
Dude.
And did she get to change? Oh, I think maybe Manon gave her some leathers or something to change into, right? Because otherwise she would have been in just Kaltain's dress.
She did give her something to change into, but I mean, like, seriously, that poor girl's like, I don't know. Wasn't like one leg shorter than the other or some shit? She had like,
she got injured, and then they never allowed it. Vernon never allowed a healer to come fix it, so then it just didn't heal right.
Yeah, she's like, da-dunk, da-dunk.
At least she doesn't have the chain around her ankle anymore.
This is true. She's not going very fast wherever she's going.
But yeah. So
I do picture her being like one leg shorter. I'm not going to lie. I picture her being like, da-dunk, da-dunk.
I do not picture her.
I don't know why. That's how I picture her. I'm sure it was like a twisted ankle or some shit. And I'm over here like, she's just like, I'm a-walking. I don't know why. And it's like forever too. The poor girl's like miles. It's like 500 miles. And she's like, I'm a-coming. I'm a-coming.
Well, yeah, they're just like, okay, we know we adopted you. We know you just escaped the hell that was your uncle, but just like go off into the forest by yourself. We gave you a little bit of supply. Like, okay, I'm going to tell this really horrible story about myself. So when I was 6, we moved into my parents' new house, and they built, and I packed a bag with goldfish and like Talking Rain sparkling waters, and I told my sister there wasn't enough room in the house, and that Mom and Dad had told me that there was enough room in the house for both of us.
You were adopted.
Okay? I said there's not enough room in the house for both of us, and that's what I picture, like sending out Elide as like her Winnie the Pooh backpack full of Talking Rain and goldfish.
Out the back door you go.
I did. She didn't make it very far before 6-year-old me was like, oh shit, she's actually leaving. My sister was 4, by the way. And I was like, hey Dad, M's outside. And yeah, so that's a terrible story about me. It's still honestly the worst thing I've ever done in my life. So I call that pretty good that I only was uphill from there. But that's what I picture. It's just like Manon being like, off on your way, little one. And then Manon and the 13 fly off to Rifthold, and Dorian will be out on the balcony, and he'll see a wyvern land on the wall, which is a Braxos, and he can see her golden eyes looking at him. So that is going to be, this connection between Dorian and Manon is going to keep growing over time.
Yes.
Because she very obviously was like, there's something here.
Yeah.
And
there's something here. I want to be submissive to you, Manon.
There's something here, and she's going to keep seeking it out. Also, and so that's the 13's like mutiny as they're leaving, right? And then Dorian, Chaol, during the whole thing that happened after when Dorian went to chase down Aelin, the king had smashed Chaol's back, and Chaol was healed from like his lower spine down, in order to make him not completely paralyzed. But Rowan said that he wasn't able to, or I think it was higher up, whatever. I think he was able to clear higher up and not lower down. So Rowan said he wasn't comfortable trying to heal everything if it was going to make it worse.
Yeah.
So now Chaol's he's paraplegic.
I was like,
he's not a quadriplegic. Rowan made sure that didn't happen. He's paraplegic. He's in a wheelchair, and this is going to start Chaol's real journey to try to figure out who he is now, because Chaol's whole life has been fighting, running, riding horses, and now that's like taken away from him.
Worst fucking nightmare.
Right. So this is a horrifying thing for Haf to deal with, and it changes his life completely. The Dorian is like, I'm sending you to the Southern Kingdom. Nezrin's going to take you. Nezrin's family is from the Southern Kingdom, and she's mentioned that she's always loved that culture and felt drawn to it and everything. And they had visited a few times as well as children, as when she was a child. But they are known for, not only they have huge armies, they also have the Torre Chesme, which is where the healers are. And that is where we will find Irene again, the healer from Assassin's Blade. So Dorian's like, you were the hand of the king. I need you to go. Because he's like, I'm not leaving you. And he's like, well, you're now the hand of the king. So I need you to go get healed so that I can have you here. And I don't remember if Nezrin gets promoted, but she was a city guard before. I don't know if she gets moved to be captain. Oh, she gets moved to be captain of the guard, which had never happened before. They never had a female captain of the guard. So it was like a huge deal. So he's like, Nezrin's going to take you to the southern continent. I need you to get better. Aelin comes and sees Chaol, and Chaol said, can I just see it one time? And so then she shows her controlled magic, what she's capable of doing. And then she makes a rose out of fire, and it will stay lit until she's out of range. So that's kind of like her parting gift of like, we're okay now. I hope you get better, and see you later. So they're not going to see each other for a couple books. Then Aelin's kind of like, well, what do we do now? And they're like, we're going to Terrasen. So they all get on their horses and they ride off to Terrasen, and we get to see Aelin stepping back finally on Terrasen soil again by the end of this book. So huge deal. We are finally in Terrasen after 4 books of talking about Terrasen, missing Terrasen, all this kind of stuff. So I'm excited to go into Empire of Storms next, because Empire of Storms is insanity. All right, Star, what would you rate Queen of Shadows?
Okay, on a reread, definitely a 5.
Yeah.
But the first time I read it was only like a 4.
Yeah, I gave this 5 stars all the way around.
I was like, ugh. But I don't, yeah. And we're walking.
We don't get that until Empire of Storms, though.
She does so much world building, though, that like, not even like, but in like all her books, like this is like the only book that I was like, action, action, action.
Queen of Shadows is go, go, go the entire time. And I love that about Queen of Shadows. It's absolute 5-star read for me. So we will continue our coverage. We will take a month off, but we will be back with our Throne of Glass coverage in May, and we will cover Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn in that month. So if you are watching us on YouTube, I'm going to throw up a slide so you can see where you can follow us on social media, and we will see you in the next one.